Good morning. Brother Chad Long here from Delhi Baptist Church, and I hope to get this uploaded early to make up for the past couple of days where I didn't. Already having computer issues this morning. I got something on my shirt here. I don't know what the... Anyway, that's not what y'all got on here for. We're in Hebrews chapter 9. This section's not real easy for me to explain. You guys are smart. I mean, you'll get it, but it's just hard for me to understand. And let me put it into an example like this. When's the last time you wanted to clean something, really clean something, and you reached for a container full of blood in order to do it? Well, I can tell you, I've never done that. When I think of cleaning something, I don't think about using blood. I think about using bleach or vinegar or asking my wife what the best cleaner she's got is, or and it depends on what I'm cleaning. I mean, I use Dawn dish soap for my hands a lot because I get them greasy, and Dawn's supposed to cut grease out of your way or something like that. So I can think of a great number of things. When I clean myself in the shower, like most of you, I either use some kind of soap. I like Irish Spring personally, or body wash that my wife buys me or something. I mean, I use some kind of soap, something that thins the water and breaks down the dirt and cleans it off. I don't typically think about using blood, but if you'll notice, every one of the covenants, the old covenant, the new covenant, and all the, I'm not really a dispensationalist, but all the different dispensations that you study into, they begin with the shedding of blood. If you look all the way back to Adam, when sin began in the garden, there had to have been an animal killed in order to give them animal skins. So there was a shedding of blood to cover up their sin. And now I can buy that blood covers the sin. I can buy that because blood covers just about anything you put it on. I mean, it covers it and stains it. But there's a reference here to cleaning. So anyway, we left off in verse 16, so we'll pick up there. Hebrews 9:16 says, "For where a testament is, there must also of necessity be the death of the testator." In order to bring about a new will and testament, the one who made the last will and testament must no longer be with us. Now that's a reference to Christ's will being done, because he is still with us, but not in that form. He died on the cross, as we know. It says verse 17, "For a testament is of force," and of force means it gets its power from. It begins to be in effect. In other words, a testament is of force after men are dead. Otherwise, it is of no strength at all while the testator liveth. Obviously, you can't take your inheritance and run with it while the person who leaves it to you is still walking around. I know we have that odd example of the prodigal son, but in most cases, that's not, in almost every case, that's not done. There was a particular need for that reference, and it may even have happened that way. But anyway, the point is that for this covenant to go into effect, there had to be the death of the one who, even among seeds. And I'm not the best one to explain that either, because I've always thought it was fascinating. But a seed has to die in order to begin to grow a plant. And so for something new to happen, something old has to die. This flesh has to die in order to eliminate sin, for sin to be eliminated, and for us to have a new body, which we talked about already. He says in verse 18, "Whereupon neither the first testament was dedicated without blood." In other words, all the way back to the first testament, there was blood involved. Now this is where I got where I come up with the illustration I started with, trying to clean with blood, because this is contrary to what we would do or what we would understand, but there's a purpose in this. He says the First Testament is dedicated with blood as well. Now he's talking about the law. The Old Testament's based on the law, written by Moses, based on the law. But I would argue there was a covenant even before then, all the way back to Adam. God promised he would deliver us, and he sealed his promise in the shedding of blood. And it took the shedding of blood in order to cover their wickedness there. But this reference is to Moses because the letters written to Jews, and they're apparently trying to argue their point of using the law while still being believers, which doesn't make any sense to me, but that's what they were doing. And I've mentioned that so many times, y'all probably tired of hearing it. But in order for each section, in order to put it into the proper perspective, you have to know what we're talking about. So if someone stumbles on this video and they haven't seen them all, I would start at Hebrews 1:1. But regardless, for the First Testament was dedicated with blood as well. That's why he says neither was the First Testament dedicated without blood. Is another way of saying, of course, the First Testament was dedicated with blood. It's just he used a negative sentence to bring about a positive thought. But obviously, the First Testament was dedicated with blood as well. Verse 19, for when Moses had spoken every precept to all the people according to the law, he took the blood of calves and of goats with water and scarlet wool and hyssop, and sprinkled both the book and all the people. There's references to this in Exodus 24 and also in Leviticus 14. What he did was with water and blood and hyssop and he went through all of these things: the book, the law, all the things that were written down. He sprinkled them. He sprinkled the entire tabernacle with blood, and he did that both to dedicate it and to cleanse it, because without the shedding of blood there can be no remission of sin. Anyway, verse 20 is saying, this is the blood of the testament which God hath enjoined unto you. There had to signify the death of something old to bring about the life of something new. And so the animals that had to be sacrificed, that's the first thing they did when they were through receiving the law, was they sacrificed. And that sacrifice was a picture of something dying and something being cleaned and made new. So that had to happen in order to picture the removal of sin. And Christ's coming is just the final act in this process as far as justification goes. Now there's still the process of finishing all of this, but he's done his part. I think he's just waiting for everybody who's going to come to know him, and then he's going to bring judgment on those who don't. But anyway, verse 20, this is the blood of the testament which God hath enjoined unto you. Moreover, he sprinkled with blood both the tabernacle and all the vessels of the ministry, and almost all things are by law purged with blood, and without the shedding of blood is no remission. It was therefore necessary that the patterns of things in the heavens should be purified with these, but the heavenly things themselves with better sacrifices than these. Now I'm going to stop there, because I don't want to try to close out the chapter with that many verses. I want to save those for tomorrow. But I want to try to explain what's going on. The blood of Jesus was not physically applied to the temple. It wasn't physically applied to the Holy of Holies, to the mercy seat, or any of those things. The veil was torn in two, which shows us a picture of the fact that we are all able to come directly to God. But the reason we're able to do that is because the blood of Christ was. Remember what Jesus said when he ascended to the women who came and saw him. They thought he was the gardener, which just tells me Jesus didn't dress up, When I think it was Mary Magdalene saw him at the garden, or saw him at the tomb, she thought he was the gardener. She mistook him for the gardener. I heard somebody preach a whole message on that. And what he was trying to say is you don't have to dress up in a three-piece suit, because Jesus was mistaken for a gardener even in his resurrected body. But what the point I'm making is, he makes this statement. He says, "Don't touch me. I have not yet ascended to the Father." And I think the reason he had to go make a trip up to visit with the Father before he spent 40 days on earth was to take the blood and apply it to the mercy seat in heaven. There's a picture. What was done with Moses and all of those things on earth was a picture of what's done in heaven. The difference is the sacrifice is better, and the place he's sprinkling the blood is holier. See, they built this with the hands of men to try to give us a replica of what's in heaven. But the problem is, no matter how well built it is, it's still built with human hands that are sinful. It's still built with things that have been corrupted. And all the sacrifices in the world don't truly make it holy. It's just a picture of holiness. But in heaven, where these things played out, there's a more holy building with more holy occupants. They're not just more holy, they're entirely holy. And the blood is holy, and everything done in heaven is perfect. There is absolutely no blemish. Everything that was done on earth to picture that was as clean as we could get it, and it still fell short. Does that make sense? You don't have to understand all of these things, and I'm certainly not the best one to explain them. All you have to understand is that every effort we've made to fix it or clean it ourselves has always come up short. No matter how well you follow God's examples, no matter how well you try to do the things that He told us to do, you will still come up short. The only way to truly come to know Him and find that perfect forgiveness, justification, and sanctification is in Him and through Him. And He has to do it. Anything we do is going to fall short. Any efforts we make are going to, they're just going to leave us feeling defeated, because we just can't do it. But we can if we'll rest in Him. I love what Jesus says. "Come unto me, all ye that labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you. My yoke is easy. My burden is light." He never says there won't be a burden. He just means if we'll let Him do the work. We still have to do our part, but He's doing everything hard. He's doing all the things we can't do. And He doesn't need us to do anything. The reason we have to rest in Him and then work through Him is because if we don't do something, then we'll get lazy and we won't honor God with our lives. It's not that He needs us to work. He does all the work. It's just that He needs us to continue to grow. And you can't grow if you're sitting still. So anyway, that's all the time we're going to take for today. But I want you to understand these things that were purified. I'll reread verse 23 and I'm through. "It's necessary that the patterns of things in the heavens should be purified with these," meaning the blood that's sprinkled there, that's Christ. It was necessary to do it on earth as a pattern, but it's necessary to do it in heaven because it's a better sacrifice. It says the heavenly things themselves with better sacrifices than these. And it goes on to explain how Jesus didn't enter into a sanctuary made with hands or a building made with hands. Everything that he's doing, it's perfect and final. There's nothing you can add to it, and there's no way you can outdo it or do better. I'll never understand why people reject Jesus, because all He offers is sanctuary, safety, peace, mercy, grace, and love. All the things people say they want. And I don't understand why anybody wouldn't accept those things. We talk about the pursuit of happiness in our Constitution. Well, you can pursue it all you want to, but you only find it in Christ. And so I don't know why anybody would reject Him, but unfortunately people do. And so, again, that's all the time we have. I pray that throughout this weekend you'll remember what Jesus has done for you. If you're not a believer, I pray you look into these things and understand that you ought to be. You ought to put your faith and trust in Him and let Him do the work, and just trust Him. And if you are a believer, I pray you'll use this weekend to remember all that He's done and honor Him for it, because He's worthy of that honor and praise. And anyway, I hope that I'm making this stuff make sense to you. I hope that you're getting something out of it. I hope you're enjoying it. And if you're not, blame me, not God. And study these things for yourself and find these things in your own way, because it'll help you to grow in your own understanding. A person can tell you, my dad used to say, I can tell you something all day, Chad, but you're not going to understand it till you experience it for yourself. And a lot of times he'd make me figure something out. He wouldn't tell me about it. I'll try to guide you guys through this, but you really have to study it for yourselves to understand it. And if you do it right, you'll get a better understanding than I will ever have of it. So you guys have a good weekend. God bless you all.